Comic-Con Africa was my favorite experience of the year. And not just because it was my first time in the convention, seeing as I did not get to see it last year like a normal fucking person. Now, if all you want to know is whether or not a Comic-Con in Africa is worth your time when it returns in 2020, the answer is yes, if you care enough to actually click on this video. I just want to start off by saying that I loved Comic-Con Africa, so much so that I hardly had the gumption to actually take any video footage of the event because I happened to be having so much fun, which isn't exactly the mindset of someone who is aiming for a media pass for Comic-Con Africa 2020. Now personally, when I watch or listen to a review of an event from anyone other than myself, it tends to have a pronounced effect on my experience because no two people's levels of enjoyment are the same. I may have loved the con because of reasons that you may not even care about, but if you keep an open mind when watching, you may find something to hold on to, even if it's not what I originally intended in the first place. If you don't really give a shit and you just like to hear the thoughts of anyone who happens to be at Comic-Con Africa, then please do continue. Overall, Comic-Con Africa was a hell of a good time for me, probably best experience with close friends and family. Especially if you have too much anxiety to actually make friends on the fly everywhere you go. But having said that, I did ditch my friends a few times to have a stroll of my own. And all in all, I sincerely enjoyed the event just as much when experiencing it in my own personal headspace. Granted, I felt that way because I knew in my heart that whenever I started to feel lonely or out of place, as socially anxious people often do, I had good friends to go back to and experience the con with them once again. Lucky for me, they were never that hard to find. Nevertheless, the event was planned around the enjoyment of one shared experience, with innumerable high-key moments between my friends and I being discovering a new hall and then inadvertently splitting up to explore all the things which it had to offer, and then uniting about half an hour later when we had found something that one of the others would enjoy. There was an extremely energetic atmosphere, so much so that I almost blew my entire budget on the first fucking day, and if that's not the epitome of blowing one's load early, I don't know what is. I honestly don't think that it would have had as much impact when experiencing it alone or just for one day. 10 minutes into the convention, if you had asked me how I felt about it, I would have been stammering through comparisons to Rock Lee dropping the weight against Gara for the first time, or seeing Captain America wield the hammer against Thanos when I was watching Endgame in the theater, and probably floating around the phrase like Rage but better and much more to my tastes. All the things we love about Rage and FanCon, and all the pinnacles that GeekFest just could not reach, were completely mastered and exceeded by Con Africa 2019. Without question, this was accomplished. If Comic-Con Africa 2018 represented the absolute height of African geek and popular culture, Comic-Con Africa 2019 successfully expands that beyond anything I could have ever possibly imagined. All throughout the convention, you'll find incredible local artists, such as Afro Tokyo, and who happen to be genuinely cool guys. Even more famously, Loiso Mkhize, creator of Crazy Comics, was in the house, and even though I respect his work greatly, I've always been bothered by the average writing style of his comics, and how it always feels lackluster compared to the phenomenal illustrations. It's always been a desire of mine to speak to him about it, but I never really knew how he'd take it, so I just avoided him completely and then admired his work from afar. Warren Lowe was there of course, and my friend Trent went like a fanboy and lost his mind. Though I don't think anyone I met quite lives up to the appearance of Ilya Kuvshinov, one of the most prolific artists of the modern age. While conversing with the man, we talked about future projects and how he's working with Production IG on the new Netflix Ghost in the Shell series. Naturally, I was over the moon, hearing that one of my favorite artists is working on one of my favorite stories of all time. We then went on to chat about other animation studios, and about what went down with Kyoto Animation a few months ago. I bought 2 illustrations of his which I plan to frame, but my favorite moment has to be when I mentioned my YouTube channel and he whipped out his phone and subscribed immediately. That was the best moment of the entire weekend, and that's really saying something. Without looking at Comic-Con as a geeks only festa, everyone will be able to enjoy it for a variety of different reasons, and what more reason than the amazing technology and innovation that was on display for the duration of the entire weekend. The Business of Gaming Forum showcased a wide range of opportunities and business pillars within the gaming industry, with a strong focus on esports, branded gaming, and game development. This was evident in Hall 3 of the arena, which was a mecca for all things tech and gaming, from Versus to VR. If cool shit and technology is your kind of thing, you really missed out on a world of innovation as far as information and technology are concerned. Another amazing thing about this year's Comic-Con was their exclusive section for the children, such as KidsCon. With the monumental success of the children's section being one of the coming attractions of the year, you don't have to be a geek to have a child with a colorful imagination. The world of Con Africa was truly open for play, and Land Rover did an amazing job as a sponsor for this first ever kid-focused convention in Africa. Complete with a kids cafeteria, a Lego section, and a vast array of Nintendo games to play, there were plenty of ways for the little ones to have the time of their lives. Now, while all that was phenomenal in its own right, I must say that seeing the amount of cosplay and geek culture in South Africa was absolutely jaw-dropping. In a world of anime, comics, and fiction, it's par for the course to see your interests as strictly unique and having no one to understand them outside the fashion of people you consider friends. A young girl I met at one of the stalls went drop dead crazy for an Arrow Manga Sensei t-shirt. It was at this point that I chuckled at the thought of a little girl watching a trashy anime with a lolly saying "I love dick" all the time. Now, as is the typical fashion of all geek conventions, Con Africa 2019 completely devolved into a can you spot the Harley Quinn kind of thing. Harley Quinn and Itachi were unsurprisingly popular cosplays, with a few togas spliced in here and there. There were some creative cosplays, and there were some "oh god, not this again" cosplays, and the quality of the latter usually came down to each cosplayer's margin of error. Though varied in execution, I loved each and every one. Cosplay is an extension of one's love for a particular fandom, and whether there's 2 people who love Itachi or 1,000 of us, it's fantastic to see. To pin down why I never quite approached Con Africa 2019 with a high level of petty elitism like most critics often do, is because I have an extremely diverse taste in anime, and being one of the thousands of people who love Itachi or Rick and Morty doesn't bother me as much as it would if popular things were my only means of consuming media. Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, that's just the tip of the iceberg that is my taste in anime. And just like I could like something that everyone else likes, I could also like something that everyone else doesn't quite understand or hope to. And I realized this when I was passing Cosplay Central, and saw just how many people love the things that I love, and also how many people like the things I dropped upon first viewing. And if I could dislike something that everyone else likes, then the opposite must be true, and that's what I love about geek culture. There's no anime, no video game, and no movie that's for no one. Before we go off on a tangent, I would like to talk about the celebrity guests, of which I met none. Comic-Con After Dark was a fun ride with Nolan North and Troy Baker's retro replay, and it was a god-tier experience. But that was as far as my interaction with guests really went. Autographs and photographs felt like way too high a price for actors I only kinda like. I love William Shatner, but not enough to pay for an autograph, when that 500 Rand could buy me a Deku action figure. Anthony Mackie was a prospect for me, but he cancelled at the last minute because of conflicting shooting schedules. Isaac Hempstead Wright cancelled due to a contractual obligation to appear at the 2019 Emmy Awards, but I wasn't that much of a fan to be disappointed over it. All in all, Con Africa 2019 was a breathtaking experience, and watching a video from the perspective of an antisocial otaku with crippling anxiety does not do it justice. There were way too many attractions for me to experience them all, and it really showed me how the cultural dynamic of niche and popular media in South Africa have shifted considerably in the past couple of years. It was ultimately a favorable experience, and one that I would highly recommend you see for yourself when it returns in 2020 if you have any love in your heart for all things tech and popular culture. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, then chances are you actually do. Until then, here are some other videos that I've made about all things geek, and my subscribe button where you can access all my weird, highly scripted and highly edited content for free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.